Everyone, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it is Saturday, which means it's time for Star Trek. And today I have with me my good friends, Functional,
Hello.
Skeptalk,
Hi, everybody.
and the One Ton Hammer.
Hi, guys.
And today we are going to be talking about what if we were given like a bracket of categories. What race in the Trek universe do we think would basically win the survival of the fittest game? Who's going to come out on top and why? And now, a lot of times, like, there have been times where Hammer's like, I've had a really hard time with this. And, and I knew it. I knew Hammer wasn't going to have an issue with this one. And I'm sitting here going,
you know what else I want to say is whenever we do things like this, I always end up going like last or close to last, and somebody inevitably picks what I was going to pick.
Yeah, no.
So hopefully
want you
nobody
to go
picked
first because
you want me to go first.
I do because I had a really hard time picking things. Like
this was easy. I mean, it really didn't take me 10 minutes of considering.
You say Ferengi.
Because I just picked from the bigger names. I'm not going to pick like anybody that's a very minor race because they're a minor race. You know, they're not really going to. So I picked Andoria.
Interesting.
Yeah. Really?
Wow. Where's that
come from? Yeah. A big race. There's no doubt. They've been in TOS. They've been all the way up through Enterprise. So it's not like they don't exist and they're not well known. Everybody knows who they are. So they're a big enough race. But if you look at the culture of the other races, I was looking at I'm immediately going to exclude humans because if I said humans, everybody's going to pick humans. But if you're going to pick somebody besides human, it would be Andorians because I like the way they're set up compared to the flaws that the other races have. They're not so violent with each other that they require honor to live by, or else they'll destroy themselves, and they will destroy themselves anyway. That's what the Klingons do. They're constantly trying to kill each other. They're not devious like the Romulans are. So it's not going to be subterfuge. It's not going to wipe out the entire council. That's not them. They have a heart. The blue Andorians are pacifists. So these people have a heart. And the way Shran reacts when his wife dies, there's emotion there. They are violent, but they're only a percentage violent more than the humans are. They're not crazy lunatic violence.
Yeah.
So they're not violent because they want to revel in violence, for example. Right. They're violent if they're
just ready to fight is what they
And they have a solid military tradition that doesn't make them
and you look at them, they are based on offense. Their ships are based on having really great weapons. Not so good with shields or speed, but really great weapons. And that goes with their entire race. We're ready to fight. We're scrappy.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. So I figured that a culture based that way would find a way to survive no matter what.
Scrappy but lovable.
That's why I picked Andorians.
I like that.
That's a good choice.
I like your justification. That's really well thought out.
What did you think about Skep? Because this was your concept.
I had to go with the Q continuum.
For
the simple
does that even count?
Yeah.
No.
The reason that they
I had to go with God.
No, they're not God.
They're not quite God.
They're
pretty close.
But because they can manipulate reality, I think anything else will simply be their play toy. My number 2 rank might surprise you. The boring is tempting, of course. But I actually think the Vulcans would figure it out. And ultimately, and especially in this environment, knowledge really is power. And the Vulcans have the knowledge.
Yeah, I could see it.
I could see maybe the problem with the Vulcans is they get too bogged down in logic.
Well,
and that's their fault. That's their failing is that they can get
Achilles heel.
That's their Achilles heel. Is
yeah,
that
That's what they have to overcome. Exactly.
is that
Yeah.
they think like that
Well, that's
it's
actually a really good.
to a fault things must proceed in a logical fashion, and
Right.
like you see like what happens when they are faced with something in like even a spatial anomaly that makes things not make sense, and they're just like,
they can't
what
handle it.
the
Yeah.
But
like,
there is a little bit of a movement in Vulcan that you hear
True.
Spock say it a couple times that logic is the beginning of wisdom. He makes that
Mhm.
point that that's where you start. That's
Yep.
not the end. So there are Vulcans who believe that logic is not the be all end all.
true.
Yeah.
So there is some hope for them, I guess, in that respect.
I'll tell you why I didn't pick the Borg.
Borg's not a race.
They're not a race. First of all, they're an amalgam of
Collective.
races.
Yeah,
They're not like, and as we've seen, like, and I'm not even going to use the end game crappy, end game episode as an example. When you get somebody like Hugh and you put Hugh back, things go to shit very easily, and you get that whole sect of Borg that were just basically cut off from the collective because of the virus they introduced into Hugh. It's a lot easier to take them down than you'd think it is. So that's why I didn't pick the Borg.
Okay.
If you heard me snickering in the background, I'm sorry. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying or anything like that. But my girlfriend came into the room while we were talking, and she grabbed something and walked out and closed the door behind her because I'm broadcasting. I don't want to bother.
Right.
And I said, the Borg are not a race. And I heard her after the door was closed. I heard her say in the hallway, "Yeah, they're Democrats."
I like your girlfriend.
Well played.
Your girlfriend
She's
has a
not
good sense.
She is. But she's not
Wow.
overtly political, so that was even funnier to hear her say something like that. I was like,
That
"Wow,
was really funny.
yeah, they're Democrats."
They're
That's
Democrats.
outstanding.
That's great.
So I'm trying to hold myself from laughing, but I'm cracking up when I hear that. So anyway, that's what I was
That's
sniffering
amazing.
about. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying.
No, I enjoy that. That's that's very funny.
She's pretty amazing.
Um,
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So, but I had a lot of hard time because I was going through the races and I was like, Romulan, nah, they're too paranoid, right?
Yeah.
With the because along with the deviousness comes the paranoia, right? You
Oh, yeah.
always have these freaking backdoor, I don't trust this person on the council, and
Yeah.
where's the Tal Shiar? Oh God, look over your shoulder quick. It's like I didn't pick them, and it was really hard, and I kept going back to, for some reason, the Breen.
Oh, cool. Oh, we lost a functional.
Oh well, let me check and make sure
He'll be back.
he'll be back.
He's sneezing.
Oh, here he is, right there. But yeah, I kept going back to the Breen, and because of they're obviously unable to live in without their freezer suits, right? But they've figured out how to make that technology, right? So they can and the telepathy that they have, we know they're telepathic. We know that they have good weapons. We know from what little we've heard of them from data that they have a specific tactical strategy to pretend to be in distress and have people try to come to their rescue and then attack.
Have we ever seen their face?
No.
Okay.
No, we've never seen a Breen's face. And
they were big in DS9, and I don't want to watch that too much. So I wasn't sure if it ever
No, that we never, even in DS9 during the alliance with the Dominion, we never saw. So
and unlike
yeah,
a lot of races, they're very isolationist, so they're not like treading on other people's toes. They're like, this is our well-established territory. That's all we need.
yeah,
So they're not stepping on other races or even care about other races. They're just like, we're doing our own thing and just galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, for all we care.
Did we pick four different people? We got
I
haven't picked
Breen. I know. I'm saying
Breen,
what I'm saying is we picked Breen,
I
we
think
picked
we
the
picked-
Vulcans, and we picked the Andorians.
yeah. I
I'm
think
curious.
so far everybody's picked just somebody different. So what do you think, Functional?
The Orions.
Ooh.
Wow.
So first of all, not
Interesting
only do they
choice.
have this very interesting innate biological advantage over almost every race with their pheromones that can basically bend the males of any given species to their will. We haven't found that any race, be it Klingon or Romulan, Vulcan or whatever, has an immunity to that.
Right.
There are medicinal ways to sort of combat it, but it's been one of those things throughout the shows that has not been able to defend it against.
Right.
They get the Vulcans too?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
They also have this empire that isn't based on like expansion or anything like that. It's more of a
Commerce.
like corporate
Mhm.
conglomerate
Yeah.
where what is one of their biggest trades is people,
Yeah.
is sentient beings. So they're slavers. So with their complete lack of our type of morals, anything that comes their way, I feel that they could. Now, this is just going into supposition,
Right.
that they could adapt to pretty much anything because they don't like. If they need to sacrifice a system of their own people to make sure that the greater good moves on, I don't think that they'd have any qualms about that because they'd be like, well, our empire needs to continue. And we see little throwaway lines sort of to allude to that in Enterprise, where they're, they basically say as much, like, yeah, unbeknownst to most races, the women control our society.
Yes.
and us as males, but also that they have that greater good mentality for the Orion people.
The
Plus
syndicate,
they
yeah.
also have the control of the Orion Syndicate, which is basically the mafia of the entire galaxy, the entire Alpha and Beta quadrant.
Yep.
I think they have really good weaponry, shields, all this technology, obviously that they've acquired or somehow less than epically stolen from other races. So I mean, they're highly adaptable. I'd say they're on par with like humanity's adaptability in acquiring new tech from other places. And I didn't want to get too, I'm not ragging on you, Skep, but I'm like, yeah, cute. That's kind of like obvious, or like what Scribe says in
exocomps.
chat. Exocomps. I was thinking not so much the exocomps, but the other aliens, the ugly bags that
Oh, the micro brain. The micro.
Yeah, because even on their own planet for tens of thousands of years went completely unnoticed until the Enterprise figured out, oh, these are sentient life.
Yeah. That's
so,
cool.
I wanted to go something with a little bit, weirdness that a
different.
lot of people don't really think about the Orions.
No, like that's awesome.
Again, another advantage.
We all picked something different. That's really cool. What do you guys think for the flip side? Who do you think would
wink out of
run
existence
themselves
instantly?
Who do you think would now and let's just stipulate that the Packlids are like already a given.
I can make an argument. I can make an argument that Packlids, we look for things that make us go.
Yes.
They got Geordi. They almost had.
Those are Pincolo's favorite, actually, the Packlids. Yeah. He loves the Packlids.
I would say in TNG, the people that were addicted, the two planets were exploiting each other.
The Anarians and the freaking whatever the other planet was.
Yeah, they're going to war at some point.
Oh yeah, especially now that they have to figure out how to repair their ships and get the drugs themselves.
Yeah, they're going to grow out of it or learn how to get tolerant to it, and then they're going to realize they were exploited, and it's going to be two planets going after each other.
Man, we've had so many come to that sort of brink, like big races, Cardassians, Klingons, Romulans. Like they've come so close to being at that brink.
Nobody
it's hard
picked
to pick
Cardassian.
No.
Think about that. No, the four of us, nobody picked Cardassians.
Nope.
No,
Because they are the incompetent race. Yes, they can't do anything right.
Terrible.
They're terrible.
Even their legal system is complete and utter trash.
Scribe says the Janeway / Paris devolved alien babies.
Yeah.
Well played, sir.
But yeah, I think that my first choice for just a race that just cannot make it, will not make it, is the Klingon Empire.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I think
Ellen
they're so chaotic in their understanding and expressions of their core principles, like honor. You can ask one Klingon, ask Worf what honor means, then ask Gowron.
Yeah.
You'll get two totally different.
Or Duras.
Or Duras. Duras doesn't know anything about honor. And I mean, you know what? He probably does think that what he did was honorable in trying to garner power and control the Empire.
Yeah.
But because there's so much infighting, there's very little civility, even outside of the military structure.
Well, organizationally, it amounts to self-sabotage too.
It does.
Exactly.
You know, when you're contending for a position in government, do you know how Klingons solve that? They fight to the death.
Well, I'll tell you, Steph, if I had to
position.
fight Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House, I would do it.
Even if you had not even political, it's even in the captaincy structure. On a ship, if you think your captain is weak, it's your duty to kill him.
It's not fully chaotic. You have to be the direct subordinate of the captain, so it has to be the first officer.
Yeah.
Failing that, the second officer can challenge, but the challenge can be intercepted by the first officer.
Yeah.
So they have a very complex system, whether or not most of them will adhere.
They lose so much. They always lose the second best guy.
Yeah.
And armies and navies are made up of second best guys. Not everybody is the best.
Nope. So they fight,
or even in the best position.
Right.
Like a first officer of a ship could be a much better warrior and captain than the actual captain he's serving under. But there might be any number of things that would just prevent him from actually challenging. Like maybe he is a competent commander and I don't really feel I have the right to challenge him and he's my friend and blah, 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 blah. You know, all sorts of different things.
Well, in organizations like that, if you don't challenge the person above you, you'll be challenged by the person below
you. Yeah.
And it's just not tenable after a while.
You're on a moving treadmill, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
They'd fight for what's for dinner.
They do.
Yeah, they actually do. So.
There's even a scene where they're fighting amongst each other in the redemption episodes, where they're literally, people from different houses and different squadrons are allying together to overthrow the Duras and expose the Romulans for the Duras-Romulan connection, and they are literally it's a rest scene and they just start fighting, right? And Worf is trying to he's like, we need to not be fighting each other. We need to be banded together. We're at war. And what does Gowron do? Gets up, stabs the dude, kills him, and goes, now the war can continue.
Yeah.
What?
Even his own brother Kern, when they're in the city, these are enemies and we're drinking with them. He's like, yeah, but this is neutral ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
like, yeah, we might be Klingons, but we still deserve, a safe space where we can get away from the fighting for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe butt some heads with our enemies, but enjoy a drink, and then tomorrow we die.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great culture. Don't get me wrong. I just think that it's entirely self-destructive.
Oh, absolutely. And I would posit that the Romulans are quite close behind because,
True.
again, of their paranoia, of the fact that they have,
the Romulans never trust anybody,
and not even themselves.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can't even
absolutely.
trust their own people. They can't even, like, the military branch can't do anything without the Tal Shiar sticking its nose in anywhere.
And nobody trusts the Tal Shiar.
And nobody trusts the Tal Shiar. The Tal Shiar doesn't even trust each other. Like,
Would you?
But I think the main
No.
difference between, say, the Romulans and the Klingons is the Romulans are very politically unstable, whereas the Klingons, how many times has the Federation or some other entity stopped them from self-immolating their entire species?
Yeah. Like, why did Kim Peck specifically called in the Federation?
Yeah.
For that very reason. He's like, I need somebody that's not a Klingon to be the arbiter of succession.
Which is great, because in DS9, they're like, no, we need a Klingon.
Yeah.
And then Worf does basically what Picard did. He stopped the Klingons from destroying themselves, throwing themselves against the wall. And, coming back to the Romulans, you have a very different thing. Like, what happened with the Tal Shiar and the Obsidian Order, okay, so they lost the biggest chunk of their intelligence agency, big whoop. The rest of them continued, but then their moon blows up.
Yeah.
And then they lose half of their race. They're now sort of nomadic. Like, it's not really through the fault of their own, I feel, that the Romulans wouldn't survive. I think it's just happenstance. As funny as that sounds.
I don't know. I think even if they didn't, like, even if things didn't happen with the Remans, even if later in the Picard timeline their sun didn't go kaboom, I think their very nature of they're the other end of the Vulcan. Like they're too emotional, they're too paranoid, they're too. The problem is they've got that Vulcan analytical mind, but it's paired with this, like, paranoia and just emotional. It's almost like Romulans are just a massive race of borderline personality disorder patients.
Yeah. With poker faces.
Like literally, like, beat borderline personality patients with straight faces.
Yeah.
Like, that's honestly how I see the Romulans. Yeah.
They
Kind of like the Christian
for crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
How about you, gents?
Yeah, what are your races that you think would go in a heartbeat, just out of nowhere?
I think tribbles would have a tough time of it,
especially if they're in the Klingon Empire.
Well,
great tribble hunt.
the technology is against them. Eventually, they'll be recognized as the deadly pest that they are. I mean, they literally do reproduce at the drop of a hat and do nothing but consume resources and take up space. And they can, you could drown a planet in triples, theoretically.
Deploy them as a biological weapon.
So, well, the thing is that race, that group would become known as pests, and technology being what it is at the time, I'll bet they're very good at getting rid of pests. And I think that tribbles would probably be hunted down in an organized way and killed, unfortunately.
Does anyone think that the Borg might be a race, or a not a race, but uh, an empire that kind of, because if you look at Piccolo and I kind of did this and looked at a video as well of like the Borg assimilation timeline and how many species they've assimilated, and if you're looking all the way up to Picard, you're only getting up to about 10,026, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're almost, you can almost say that they would almost hit a plateau, an assimilation plateau, and maybe even run out of ways to assimilate people that they haven't, because everybody now knows about the Borg basically, and it's been proven that they can be fought, right? You look at 8472, you look at Janeway and company. It's proven that they can be, or even using Picard to get to access the regenerate command. It's proven that they could be fought against, and could there be a possibility where the Borg would reach an assimilation plateau and also run into species that have figured out how to deal with the nanoprobe infestation of assimilation?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because even Q was like, "Don't antagonize the Borg." Like the Q continuum is also has a level of probably not like the rest of us, but has a level of fear of the Borg collective.
No one's really stopped the Borg outright. They certainly won battles against them, but nobody's stopped them. Not even Janeway stopped them. I mean, she blew up
She
the
did
transport
get the
conduits,
unit.
but they're still out there. The Borg
Yeah.
is still, and 8472 are no longer a threat because the Borg know how to stop them. So,
Only with Janeway's help, though.
but they still did it.
But
Yeah.
they continuously adapt. I'm sure they'd be able to adapt, given enough time against 8472.
They adapted to being able to compromise.
Yeah.
And
even when you look at like Unimatrix, when they're sort of crumbling a little bit from the inside, even then the queen, the race in its entirety, would excise entire chunks of the collective just to do away with this invasive thing that they had no way to really control, because they're just not wired that way at that point. When with the shutdown, the sleep code, or the other code that they used, the virus in Voyager, by assimilating Icheb, those things were eventually combated against by the Borg. They adapted. That's their big thing, is given enough time, they can adapt to anything. And I think that leads into why the continuum is still treats them a little bit with kid gloves, is that they realize that one day they might be able to adapt to assimilating a Q.
That would be terrifying.
It would be. That would be the end game. That would be done.
The literal end game.
The Q Borg would dominate everything.
Could you imagine a Borg going and just
yes, because it basically happened in Mass Effect 3 at the end. They turn everything in the galaxy, every piece of biological life in the entire universe, into a mechanical biological hybrid.
Oh God.
So I'm thinking of that as like, if they ever got the power of the Q, that snap, that would be what would happen. The entire, just in a blink of an eye, all biological life would be amalgamated with technology in some way.
Imagine like the female Q being made the Borg queen. That would be fucking terrifying.
God.
Borg tribbles? Like, come on, man.
Release the
Borg-
tribbles
Borg
onto one of the
tribbles.
Borg ships.
Release
Yeah.
the tribbles.
Did everybody pick a race that wouldn't survive?
I think so.
Functional, who's your race?
That wouldn't? Klingons.
Yeah.
Klingons. Okay. How about who's your assuming that your first race is not an option, who's your next race that you think would be a good race to make it
Oh.
to whatever end would be? Like
The
I
second best.
yeah, the second best.
Mm.
Who would be your second pick if your first choice was, I guess for Skip it would be your fourth choice, but
My next choice would be humans
Yeah.
because they're just so darn widespread.
And we're tenacious. That's the thing about humans is
And
that
adaptable.
we don't
we
like
got the right balance. Yeah.
yeah, we just there's something about humans that even when we are faced with horrific stuff, most of us, like there are some people who choose to unalive, but most of us are like, no, damn it, I'm fighting this thing. Right? It's just human nature is to especially when there is another entity that is trying to hurt you or harm you or take your life beyond your control, that for some reason human beings are just like, no, that's not okay. And we cling on to life like for how fragile we are. If you think about it, humans are insanely fragile.
We are soap bubble. We are the soap bubbles of the universe.
We really are. We really are ugly bags of mostly water. If you think about the micro brain, like, and so we like, if you would compare us to, like a microbe that has survived on Earth for billions of years, like for the shit that we put ourselves through, we are insanely tenacious people.
Oh, yes.
And the great unifier, too.
Yeah.
We bring together races that have been at war for so long, and we are the great diplomats. We are the great uniter. And, we brought Vulcans and Tellarites and Andorians who all hated each other together. We were that neutral newcomer to the global galaxy stage, and we brought together these people. We would bring together the Romulans and the Klingons if given half a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
We
the
united.
Metrons thought we weren't too bad.
Yeah.
Even Q is like, we see a lot of ourselves in what you are.
Yeah.
We were like you, and now and that's why Q had such a love affair with Picard and humanity as a whole, is because he wanted to see us succeed.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to use his power to help us. In fact, he was using his power a lot of the time to test us, to test our mettle and make us come out of these trials and tribulations stronger. See what I did there? See what I did there? Q Tribble, watch it.
Q Tribble, yeah.
Yeah, no, humanity's a really good choice.
See, I limited myself when we started with this question, and that was probably a mistake because, well, I said to myself, like, no Q, no Borg, no humans. And that was probably a mistake. So thinking about it now, I probably should have picked humans as my main as opposed to Andorians. So looking back at it, I limited myself for no real good reason. Maybe good reason for Borg and Q, but I should not have limited myself of not picking humans because they're you're right, they're really, really strong.
They're one of the competing races.
And it's funny because a lot of other races overlook humans in the canon, if you think about it.
They certainly don't think they're important, or they hold them in contempt.
I think the Romulans, what Sela said, be careful with humans because they show up when they're least expected. So at least some of them
Sela
knew.
figured it out.
Yeah,
And
some of them know.
But if you look at, like, especially the Klingons, they really underestimate humans.
Yeah.
Because
that's a trope.
Oh yeah, like one of my biggest examples is when Worf chooses Picard for his Chadich, and they're basically and they're like humans have no place in in this, and they're not trained to fight and all that stuff, right? And all Picard does is he just, he steps up and he goes, "You may test that at your earliest convenience." It's like,
well, that's the thing with the Klingons. Once they get to know humans and see our metal, they have respect for us.
Yep.
Even Gowron commented Cisco and the Federation's fighting fervor during the Dominion War and said, we never thought that this would happen, but you guys have been fighting as hard as any Klingon. And it was a really good moment of sort of, again, the humans, the Federation, bringing together two mortal enemies like Romulans and Klingons to fight against this invading force into the Alpha Quadrant. That leads me to what my second choice was, and it was a little bit of an OP choice. It was the Founders, the Changelings.
Oh.
Not just because they're changelings and could, disappear into the ether and be whatever they wanted, but because of their political acumen. They are very devious. They're more devious than a Romulan.
I would say
they're more
they're smarter than a Romulan.
They're more
as well.
Yes.
Yeah. They're
But
more
they trust themselves though. There's
Yeah.
a big difference.
Yeah. Well,
They just hate everybody else.
There's no real secrets within their race, right?
No, because of the
they
link.
can become that
Right.
collective like the Borg, or they
Right.
can be singular units like you see Odo fighting against his own collective.
Yeah.
But not only for those reasons, but also because they can just be as conniving and political and manipulative without using subterfuge, just on their own.
Yep.
And had they not fought a war of aggression to take over the Alpha Quadrant, they are still untouched in the Gamma Quadrant. They are still unrivaled in their entire section corner.
As far as we know, we haven't really
as far as we know,
explored the Gamma Quadrant very big yet. But.
Remember, at the end of the Earth Dominion War, they agreed to withdraw, and the one changeling was imprisoned for the whole offensive because she was in charge, and she was like the Link's sort of sacrificial lamb, offering to say, yes, we're done with this war. Here is our individual who will serve time in your, and they're changelings. Even if she spent 1,000 years in prison, that would be a blink in the eye of their lifetimes.
Well, and that's why Odo went back to
the Link,
fill in her space, basically.
Well, that and to
repair the.
Well, to be a diplomat in a sense, to say, solids aren't that bad, actually.
Yeah.
We can not trust everyone implicitly, but we can have relations and be equals. And again, that sort of Federation mentality that, yes, all these different races, they all have different strengths and weaknesses and tropes and stereotypes. But at the end of the day, we can work together to live and thrive in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Very hokey, but...
That's what I like about Star Trek is that it tries to give out, well, at least old Star Trek, tries to give out this message of we should be trying to strive for bigger and better things together without jamming it down your throat in a stupid way, because we have and they've also Star Trek did a great job of balancing that, we are better together, but also we are better when we respect our individuality.
Yeah,
And
you don't
I
let go of the individual for the
I
sake of the
really liked that balance of we are the especially the driving home of the fact that in canon, Star Trek canon, humans had this very specific thing about them where it was we respected and understood that as a team we were better, but because we all had different ideas, that team worked. If like we all had a different viewpoint, and that's why that team worked, because we weren't all just an echo chamber.
Yeah, you could respect the individual while also respecting the given chain of command so that there isn't chaos, and also to strive to be not only a better person, but to better your collective.
Yes.
But you would never there would never be that call to sacrifice your individuality for the greater good, like you see in some modern sort of philosophical circles. Yeah. And even then, your superior officer, you could still question your orders and question narratives. And like, there was never any sort of like, aside from, Section 31 or something like that, censorship of people, of our ideas. There was that sort of underlying notion that, sunlight is the best disinfectant. If there's a bad idea brought to the table, we will identify it as a not so good or bad idea and come up with 20 good ideas,
Yeah, it
really makes you hopeful for the future of our own species.
It does. And I think that's why Star Trek was such a success, because it took the best potential qualities of humans and it put them in a position to expose the equally bad potential qualities of humans, and put them not only in the human characters but in the alien characters that they found along
made for
the
such
way.
great interaction between them.
Oh yeah. Let's see, what is chat saying here? The Spanish Inquisition. Oh, because Cannibalistic says nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Wrong franchise. Although that is a great franchise.
Monty Python was just the Q continuum.
Yes.
Who is your number 2, BP?
My number 2, this again, it was really hard. So I picked the Breen for number 1, and then I had a really hard time. But I ended up going and thinking about what would happen if the Bajorans were left alone to fix themselves and just get back to the way they used to be. Because they, for thousands of years, had quite a self-sufficient culture, quite a self-sufficient way of life. Like engineering wise, like just everything. And then the Cardassians had to come and fuck it all up. And then the humans had to come in and make it worse, right? Elowen says the Traveler. Because he's from a race of people that some of them can do what he does. Some of them have other abilities with like math, like other mathematical properties and stuff like that. But I would like to know more about his race. I actually thought about the Traveler, but I didn't pick them because I didn't know very much about the Traveler. All we know is really about the one Traveler. We know that there are more of them out there. We just don't know about them. But yeah, I picked the Bajorans for my second one. Because I think if the Bajorans were just left to rebuild and just get things back to normal, I think they could probably be a very self-sufficient, long-thriving species.
especially with their unique resource of the wormhole.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that puts them as a sort of, let's say, fledgling, because of the stuff that's happened to them. They're kind of starting from starting over.
yeah.
Puts them in a very unique position compared to all the other races we've talked about.
What was your did you pick yeah, yours was humans, right, Skep? What
Yeah, I did.
What would you pick for your second race to go topside or belly up?
Belly up.
Before we get to that, I want to get to my second race that would survive.
Sorry, I thought you went already. Sorry.
Well, I was hoping to go last specifically this time because I went first
the other time
for the initial time, and nobody picked what I wanted. I wanted to see if my luck would hold, and it did.
Oh, good.
Because the race I picked, you guys didn't pick. I picked the Tholians.
Interesting.
And it was a very close toss up. It was either the Tholians or the Vidians.
Oh.
Those are two very powerful races. Tholians because they don't see time linear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Vidians because their medical technology is crazy good. So those are the reasons why I was looking at those two. But I would go with the Tholians because I really don't see how anything about them that's obviously a bad thing. Maybe their physical makeup, the fact that they're crystalline, maybe I don't know how that would be a bad thing. It's just different about them. But
yeah,
their battle tactics are fantastic. They have powerful weapons.
Yep.
They don't take very many risks. They're
not expansionary, so they're like you said, not risking a lot.
Right.
They have relations with other species, but they like their little pocket sort of area. Don't come in, and we won't leave.
Yeah.
Seems conducive to a long line.
What were you going to say, Scott?
Well, I was going to. Yeah, they've got 6 legs, amazing lateral movement.
Could they be assimilated, or would the nanoprobes just incinerate on contact?
Ooh,
that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Certainly, I've never seen one Borg with a Tholian combination.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
No.
Would the Borg look down at them and say, "You're not good enough to be"?
I doubt it because of their tech and.
Yeah, could you imagine a Borg hive fleet with like
a Tholian web?
Tholian web weapons? Nobody would ever escape.
Nope. Oh, I got so mad. So that the audio description app I was using to watch TOS and all that, it stopped. They've got the whole 3rd season up, but it stops being described video right at the Tholian web episode. I'm like, no, that was what I really wanted to have described to me.
Just that episode or everything after?
Everything after.
Oh no!
I know. So let that be your last. Battlefield isn't described.
Oh
man!
I could do some described video for you. And then there's this crazy motherfucker with 4 legs and he's got like this crystalline. He walks into the room and holy shit, Kurt just jumps on top of him.
Personalized description. And blind, you won't believe this part.
Yeah, exactly. Narrated.
What about the subspace Care Bears? The subspace Care Bears. Which were those?
Are those the people who click in subspace?
I think they might be the ones that kept taking crew and operating on them, or turning their blood to polymer. That was fucked up. That was a pretty messed up episode if you think about it.
Well, the thing is, they couldn't exist.
That one freaked me out more than Night Terrors did, actually.
It is kind of a spooky episode.
Schisms.
Oh, Schisms, yeah.
The one where
Geordi says, "I've been in this room before."
Yeah,
man, that gave me chills when he said that.
Yeah. When they're recreating that table, and Worf is like,
"I remember that.
No, not scissors. and it's like
Because that's
Yeah.
exactly how it works when you are trying to recreate somewhere you've been that you're having trouble remembering, and you have people like and you're working with psychiatrists or forensics and stuff like that, and you're rebuilding something.
Mhm.
That's how it works.
And that clicking when they started doing and adding more clicks and
Yeah,
stuff, and they put their hands over her ears.
Yeah, the sensory.
Oh my god! It's
Such
like
a freaky scene.
it would have been even better with somebody who should have bolted from the room. That girl should have just ran out of there. She couldn't handle
It's
it. That would have
interesting. Star Trek Online, the MMO game, did a really good deep dive on that race.
I wish I could play that game so much.
It's not canon. It's not even beta canon.
I
it's
know,
just sort of
but I
fluff
just
canon.
wish
But
I
I
could
thought that
play it.
their sort of fan fiction on the delving into that race was just super cool, and they kept that sense of dread and
Yeah.
suspense and just awfulness while I was playing it. It was, whew, that shows you just how powerful that first that Schisms episode was.
Yeah, and I saw that episode first when I was like 5 or 6, and it freaked me out. Like,
It freaks me out.
Really freaked me. Yeah, it is pretty creepy. Like, especially when like you just get the like when Riker goes in and he's like, my arm like hurts, and
yeah.
Beverly's like scanning him, and she's like, okay, your arm's been like amputated and reattached, and it's like 2 millimeters out of position. Like, the like that
Wait,
was
does that mean that Thomas Riker has a perfectly aligned shoulder, and now Will Riker's shoulder is off by 2 millimeters?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Creepy.
I think the very next episode, or no, because the very next episode is the True Q. The one after that one, I think, it's either just before Schisms or just after Schisms that we meet Thomas Riker.
Little Tommy Riker.
Borgified Teletubbies, says Data Wasteland.
Mortified.
Or the dreaded LBGTQ plus Klingons? Man, are you just talking shit at this point?
I don't.
I don't remember Borgified Teletubbies or
LGBT Klingons.
Well, I mean, there was Lursa and B'Etor.
Yeah, but they were sisters.
Yeah, but they were kind of tranny.
That's true.
That's why even Worf wouldn't have none of that.
The poor Worf. Because what was it, Lursa? Or no, B'Etor. B'Etor really wanted some of that Worf dick. And Worf was not having it.
Hey, what species in all of Star Trek do you think live the best lives? The life you would like to live? What species most closely offers that to you?
Oh man.
Honestly, I would not mind living in 24th century Earth. Like
Really?
TNG Earth, like,
Yeah.
or even like living on board, like this living, I'm sure they could find something to do for a blind person like me.
You
I
could
don't
be chief
know.
engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I suck at math. I would not be a good chief engineer.
When all else fails, just reroute through the deflector dish. Remember?
I would probably be a better like counselor or something.
Yeah,
but
you would be
then
Deanna Troy, not
Troy would be very pissed off with me if I.
Can my answer be the same as my first answer and be like the Orions?
You'd
I don't mind being a slave boy to some
a Green Orion.
Green Orion
answer.
mistress. It's a tough question. That's a tough thought, though.
You wouldn't be blind anymore. That you know what, Data, for my condition, you're probably right. Dr. Pulaski would probably be able to whip me up some eyes and do the surgery with no problems, because I wasn't like Jordy. I wasn't born that way. I was sick, and well, actually, in that day and age, they probably would have been able to give me a hypo spray the first thing I got in there and cleared everything up.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And I probably wouldn't have even gone blind.
Yeah, you never would.
Yeah, I
Seems
think
like
I'd stick with
being-
humans too, to be honest with you.
I like the Edo because they threatened to execute Wesley.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Well,
And
but
they had a mellow lifestyle. But if
did.
I had to guess any of them, I would bet that I would be happiest as a Metron.
yeah,
Snooty, aloof, and just chilling, just being the best in the universe and not giving a shit.
Grillin' Pirate Pete says, seems like the beings who would have the best lives would be the Organians, the beings of pure energy.
Yeah.
It's
kinda
a
like the-
fast-paced life.
I kind of like the Baku as well.
The Baku, yeah.
Yeah.
The only
That
thing I
would
don't
be
like about the
nice,
Edo is the
long
male
life.
camel toe.
Yeah.
And
The nice.
Of course, all of this invites what I was really setting up in that question, which is what species sucks the worst?
Cardassian.
Ferengi.
I knew we would
Yeah.
not get agreement.
Yeah.
Actually, you know
Ferengi.
what? I don't think I would want to live on Ferenginar.
Oh,
You're
God,
right.
no. Are you kidding?
Cardassia.
But I also don't think I would want to live on Cardassia either.
Anything that's hyper collective like that is just no.
Bajoran life sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, a lot of these species still have attractive women.
Mm,
The Ferengi,
that's true.
Not so much.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind living on Beta Z. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
That's true. Ferengi women.
Andor. I could live on Andor. I'm
Yeah.
a true snow Mexican. I'd love the cold. I
that's
would
just
not
too
do
cold,
well on
man.
Vulcan, even though I identify
Yeah,
with their.
Vulcan is more my kind of territory.
Vulcan is Vulcan
Societally-
supposed to be hot?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's just got a thinner atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
their atmosphere. Most of their planet is desert, which
that's
is
right.
really hot. They have those really crazy heat storms and sandstorms and all. Just, ugh. I don't like the heat.
See, I'd be okay on Vulcan because it's not humid.
It's a dry
It's
heat.
true.
If I was on a place like the
Venus.
Venus, yeah, no. Oh, no, thank you.
Andor would just get tiresome after. I just shoveled you 5 minutes ago, and
Yeah.
the walkway's already under another 2 feet of snow. What the hell?
Living on Endor, trying to walk around with a cane, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, I mean, it's the 24th century. I'd have a hover belt or something like.
Yeah. They'd have a Baron Harkonnen rig for you.
Exactly.
There's a lot of-
heart plugs. Sorry,
There's a lot of regular races that would be okay.
yeah.
Like there's a lot of races that are not extreme in any, like the Trill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trill would be fine. They're not bad in any real
No.
way.
Mm-hmm.
They're interesting, actually. Very interesting.
I'd love to be one of those recipients of a symbion.
Oh, a Trill host.
Bingo.
That
Oh,
would
I'd
be
love to be a
cool.
host.
I would be on that.
I would totally
do
be a
that in
Trill
heartbeat.
host.
Yeah.
I would. I probably wouldn't be mental like. They'd be like, your mental health is too bad. You can't be a Trill host.
It would drive
You're
you
too fucked up
crazy.
in the head.
Yeah. No Trill would have me.
I
You
even
guys are-
think that maybe being one of the sort of smaller member worlds in the Dominion would be kind of okay.
Unless
You're protected by- Well, yeah. But I'm talking about like member worlds, like just
Yeah.
regular races who have bent the knee
Like
to the founders, but
like
other than
the
that, they
people
get to
that were
live by
trying to
themselves.
sell the elderflower wine or whatever to
Tulaberry wine.
the Tulaberry wine. That's
Yes.
right. Those people, what was it? The Sakarans? No, that's
No.
a Voyager race. Who the hell was it? I can't remember.
Dosai and Karama.
Karama.
The Dosai are the guys with the weird face paint who actually produce the wine. The Karama are the traders.
Right.
So yeah, being one of those sort of like, yes, there is that, quote unquote threat of Big Daddy government, the Jem'Hadar or whatever. But as long as you're like, not doing anything to go against the founders, I mean, you're pretty much okay.
Yeah.
You have that level of protection. I'm not saying it would be great. You're absolutely free, but I mean, in any society, where are you absolutely free? Well, not even on Risa.
I was about to say, I could live on Risa.
Unless, of course, the crazy anti-fun people show up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like they're so accepting of everyone that even the fun police get a seat at the table.
Yep. I can't believe Worf joined the fun police. I can, but I can't.
One place I could think of that'd be kind of cool to live would be the place from TOS where whatever you thought they made for you.
Oh, yeah.
The Pleasure Planet or whatever it was. It wasn't Rice. It was the one that built robots for you that were realistic and had planes shooting at Sulu and.
Yes, that one where Kirk kept imagining his
guy kept in Jimmy Boy all the time. The Irish guy.
His Irish bully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Holy crap, it's already been an hour. Look at that.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for watching. And of course we will be back next week. And I'm sure we'll meet in DMs to come up with an idea. And of course, Functional and Skep will be with the Harry channel tonight on Minion. Yeah. And Hammer has his show on Wednesday at 9.
The Wednesday show.
And you'll be joining me on my show on Tuesday.
I will on Tuesday.
And don't we have Wednesdays with Skep coming?
We do. Wednesdays with Skep is this Wednesday. Yep. And
nice.
And I think Pinkalo and we didn't end up doing our blind in the special last night, but I think we're going to be doing it tonight. And we're going to do it over on my Twitch channel just because.
What time?
It's gonna be we're not sure, honestly.
Okay.
Pinkalo is going to attempt to set things up in OBS on my new computer. We're gonna see how that runs. But yeah, we're doing it on my Twitch channel just because I already have followers there, and it would make no sense to make a brand new blind in the special channel. So we're just gonna do stuff over there and put the VODs up on YouTube. So yeah. So all of that to say, thank you for watching, everybody, and thank you to my panel for joining me as always. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next Saturday. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So on true.